why invest in APAC? Well, speaking from the perspective of a global fund, we're tending to target about 20% of our fund to be within the Asia region. But I think what's also important in terms of the investments that we've made around 30 investments so far since our first fund in 2017 and now our more recent one launched last year, is the extent to which non-Asian companies, so companies based in the US and Europe, are also seeing Asia as a very high opportunity. Michael, do you have any comments or thoughts on that?
Sure. It's interesting that you mentioned 20% because it's actually quite in line with at least 2022 numbers in terms of how much money global alt protein investments went to Asia Pacific. So in 2022, it was almost exactly 20%. Now it's much increased from a previous year. So previous year was about 8%. So we see really big growth, and APAC is officially the fastest growing region when it comes to the invested dollars in alt protein. I think US shrinked a little bit, Europe is up a little bit, like 20% or something like this, and APAC is over 40% up last year. So that's what I find interesting. But even with 20%, my view is that there's still a gap compared to the opportunity here. Because if you look at the APAC, it's actually the largest protein. We're talking about overall protein, including animal protein, the largest protein market in the world. Over 40% of meat is consumed in Asia. Over 70% of seafood is consumed in Asia. Pretty big chunk of dairy as well, driven by India. And it is actually fastest growing, driven by, I'm sure that many speakers will talk about growing population and more people moving towards middle class. So it's really a great opportunity and still a gap between invested dollars and what we need to do from both impact and opportunity perspective. And the last thing I want to say is, just on general terms before we dig into details, is I think what's unique about APAC here is because there are so many emerging markets in APAC, there's this unique opportunity to at least partially leapfrog, all this industrial animal agriculture development that we have seen last few decades in the West, and go almost straight into the more sustainable protein production much earlier compared to how the cycle looked like in the West.